In this video, we're going to begin looking at functions, which are a way of packaging up lines of code that you're going to use repeatedly and make them into one callable and separately maintainable unit. So we're going to start out with these 4 lines of code, just 4 lines of console log that make animal noises, something very important. So of course, if I'm going to do this repeatedly, in the console, it's easy enough. I can just hit the up arrow and get the same lines of code again and make them fire again. And if I'm writing a JavaScript file, I could copy and paste the same thing over and over again. So for example, if I ever need to change it, so say this first one is not arf, but nay, or what have you, I would have to go back and change each instance of that in my code. And that's tedious. Perhaps you could just say it's silly. So what we would do in that case is define a function, which would wrap up all of these lines into a single unit that I can then use over and over again. So how do we do that? Let's switch over to text editor and take a look at what a function is. So at its most basic, to define a function, you simply write the word function, followed by a space, and then the name of your function, followed by a pair of parentheses, and then your curly braces in which you put the lines of code that you want to run more than once. So in this case, we are going to put in our animal noises into this speak function. And if I copy this and bring it over to my console, paste it in there and hit return, now I have this function defined called speak. And now what we do to actually make these lines execute in the context of this function, we do what's called invoking the function, which is to write out its name, followed by the parentheses and the semicolon to end the line. And there we go. So now instead of writing these 4 lines, if I want to make this happen over and over again, I just need to use this one line. As we'll see in upcoming lessons, this is not nearly everything you can do with functions, but even if it were, this by itself would be really useful. Functions, at their most basic, can tie together several lines of code and give you one executable line that will do the whole thing. Really useful.